What is going on, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of the Passable Ball Knowledge podcast. My name is Sam. That is Aaron. Today, we are going to be breaking down, well, I guess not even really breaking down the last week of NFL football because it was boring as hell. There was like one kind of close game, and the rest were blowouts, bad teams versus bad teams, good teams versus bad teams. Really nothing interesting to talk about. So we cooked up a segment. We are going to do NFL buy or sell. We each have five takes we're going to be giving to the other guy. And we are going to ask them, do you buy this or do you sell this take? And, it's going to be some, kind of hot takes, but some of these takes are a little bit reasonable. They're not necessarily all outlandish. Let's get started. But before we get started, Aaron, how's it going, man?
Um, Doing fine. As good as I can be after last week.
Yeah, rough week for the Falcons. I actually have something about the Falcons in this. So I guess I'll get started. On that note, we'll start with my Falcons topic here. The Raheem Morris experience is already essentially over in Atlanta. This is my take for a couple reasons. This is a hot take because listen, Raheem Morris has not necessarily even been a bad coach for the Falcons. It's more so the expectations that the Falcons have. This was the year where the Falcons needed to make the playoffs. And if they didn't, they gave up a first round pick for this year. They were really going all in on this season. They are not going to they're not in a current position to make the playoffs. They are behind the Bucks in the division. They are 3-4 and their next 2 weeks are against the Patriots and the Colts. They still have the Seahawks, the Bucks, the Rams on their schedule. This is this has a chance to get seriously ugly soon here. Um, and there is a legitimate chance that after the next 2 weeks they are 3-6. And this is a tough NFC, a tougher NFC than I think a lot of people were expecting. The Seahawks look really good. The Bucks look really good. The Lions, the Packers, the Bears are looking pretty good as well. Like there are a lot of teams that are putting together good things right now, and Atlanta's already behind. If the Falcons miss the playoffs, I think it's probably Raheem's job already off the bat.
Yeah.
And I think not not necessarily that Raheem Morris is going to get fired tomorrow, but my take is that in spirit, the Raheem Morris era in Atlanta is already coming to an end. Aaron, as a Falcons fan, buy or sell?
Um, I mean, like buy in the way that I think is going to happen, or buy in the way that it should be over.
Let me rephrase this. I think yeah. I mean, I can't really say it. Like the Raheem Morris experience is essentially already dead, and it's just
Yeah.
whether or not when he'll get fired is my question.
Um, yeah, I mean, I agree. I think the only thing about it is that Arthur Blank has shown to be very patient. Um, with his head coaches, he let Arthur Smith go 7-10 for 3 years straight. And given that first year was kind of seen as a good year with, that really just horrible roster. Um, and then, having Desmond Ritter, obviously doesn't help. But you know, we let him go 7-10 for 3 years straight. And I think we went 8-9 last year, and I think if we go 6-10 or 7-9, which I think is or not 7-9,
6 and
six
11,
and six
7
and
and
11
10.
or 7-10. Um, I think it's very possible that Raheem gets fired. There's no spark. I don't see a spark in this team ever, and Raheem isn't really that guy to give him, a spark. You look at like Dan Campbell, even when they were bad, he still was high energy. The players loved him. Um, he was a fun guy. But then, Raheem, he's not the loudest guy. He gets kind of pumped after games end. But other than that, it's nothing crazy. He doesn't call plays. He doesn't call plays on defense, which isn't bad this year. But especially last year with Jimmy Lake and that whole catastrophe that happened. I feel like he had no reason to not call plays on defense. And yeah, I mean, like his staff hirings have obviously been bad. Jimmy Lake got fired last year. Zach Robinson just keeps proving that he's probably the worst OC in the whole league. Um, every week, we fired our receivers coach after 2 weeks, and I think it's just after 3 weeks. Yeah. And I think it's just there's nothing really exciting right now about Raheem Morris, and I totally think that we should be willing to fire him. And if we go 3-6, I think there is actually a decent chance that he does get fired. When Dan Quinn was in his last year, we were obviously worse. We started out like 2-8, I think, or something like that. Um, and then Dan Quinn got fired. But I wouldn't be shocked that if we're 3-8 at one point in the season if Raheem gets fired. But with Raheem getting fired would probably mean Jeff Ulbrich would leave too, which would really suck because we've had I think it's 5 or 6 defensive. I think it's 6 DCs in the last 6 years um with the Falcons. So getting another one would just really suck if we do fire Raheem.
All right.
Yeah. So I kind of went on a rant for a second. Um, I'll stay in division for my first take. Um, I think the Saints are making the wrong decision benching Spencer Rattler. I I think Spencer Rattler has played good enough, and even though this team is 1-7, they're just kind of looking for a spark. He hasn't played bad. He has a 70% completion percentage. He throws picks, yeah. Um, 8 touchdowns, 5 picks on the year. But I mean, like how much better could Tyler Shuck make your team or like how much like what more advantage does Tyler Shuck give you over Spencer Rattler in a game? And it's like, oh, maybe film. They don't have any film with this guy. He played last week and he looked bad. He didn't look good. Uh he hardly completed 50% of his passes, threw a pick, no touchdowns. He just didn't look great. Overall. So yeah, I think the Saints are making the wrong decision playing Tyler Shuck, and they said their plan is to play him for the rest of the season. Um, and maybe I sound silly, but that's just kind of what I think about it.
I'm gonna sell this a little bit for a couple reasons. I think Spencer Rattler has played like impressively decent football. And I know that's not saying much, but at the end of the day, Spencer Rattler's not that good. Like in general, like he wasn't a great prospect. He was not really expected to be that good this year. So he's played better than I expected. That being said, I don't think he's played so well that it's not worthy of him getting benched. Especially, I mean, if you look at his game log this year, you know, uh, like 230 yards, 2 touchdowns, 3 picks, 227 yards, no touchdowns, no picks, 225 yards, 1 touchdown, no pick, 126 yards, 1 touchdown, no pick. I mean, he's playing fine. He's just not in that great. So you're looking at what Spencer Rattler's doing. At the end of the day, I don't think it's so good that he can't get benched. And you invested a second round pick into Tyler Shuck. And I think if you want to see what he can give you, I think that's totally reasonable. And if the mindset behind this is also, hey, let's suck ass so we can get the first overall pick and then we can draft the quarterback, I'd honestly kind of support that too, because as much as I don't like tanking, some teams have to tank and the Saints really need to tank. They need a quarterback. They need a star that can change that trajectory of the offense and the franchise. So, yeah, I'm selling that a little bit. I don't. I think Shuck is good enough to get benched.
Yeah, yeah, but like my main point with this Spencer Rattler thing is just like if they are trying to win, which they might not be, they might be trying to tank. It's kind of like how much better does Tyler Shuck really make you? That's just kind of like my whole point of it.
Okay. I mean, my take is how bad could he? I mean, may as well take a chance. You don't know how good he's going to be.
Yeah,
He's
yeah,
25 years old. You spent a second round pick on him. You may as well see what he can do. And
yeah,
if he plays well, all of a sudden, hey, this is a trade piece. It's that
yeah.
simple. So my next take, and this is what I actually believe. I don't believe all of these takes necessarily. like wholeheartedly. This is when I'm feeling this one. This is a two-parter. The Colts are currently the best team in football, and Jonathan Taylor is the no doubt MVP. The Colts are an awesome team. They are great. Jonathan Taylor is so good. And I really think that the unsung hero of this season is the Colts offensive line. Their offensive line is so good. And you see some of these holes that Jonathan Taylor's running through. It's like a crater in the middle of the offense. They are so good. Daniel Jones is playing really good football. Their defense is tough. They get sacks, they get turnovers, and Shane Steichen is coaching his ass off. Like it feels like the Colts are so efficient. It feels like they never take a play off on offense. It feels like every play is successful. They are the only 7-1 football team right now. And as much as you could say, well, look at who they've played, it's nothing crazy. It's not going to be anything that is going to knock your socks off. Like they are blowing teams out of the water. We're talking not even funny blowouts. Like you know, uh 45 to 10 and 38 to 7 and these nasty blowouts. Their one loss came in a game that they probably should have won because Adonai Mitchell dropped the ball at the 1 yard line and they had 10 players on the field and gave up a game-winning touchdown against Tutu Atwell. This team has a very good case to say that, hey, we should probably be 7-0 right now. Or 8-0. Sorry.
You
8
know.
and 0. And Jonathan Taylor is just the no doubt MVP right now. That's my take. Buy or sell.
Yeah, I'm gonna buy that. I think especially this year when there's no real MVP candidate, like I guess the front runner right now would be like Patrick Mahomes. Um, Out of everybody, but I think especially this year when there's no clear MVP, I think this is the first year in a long time where you can confidently say that you might have a non-quarterback MVP for the first time in honestly, I don't know how long, like since like the 2000s, right?
Since Adrian Peterson in
Yeah,
2012.
yeah. Um, but like even Daniel Jones is an MVP candidate right now. I mean, he's not playing the craziest football. He has 13 touchdowns, 3 picks, 2,000 yards, which is, obviously good. But you look at Jonathan Taylor, leads the league in every rushing stat, every important stat, attempts, yards, touchdowns. Um, yeah, this team is great. Jonathan Taylor already has, 1,000 scrimmage yards on the year. Um, and as we are talking about, mid teams don't blow out bad teams. They win like 28 to like 14 against bad teams, but like against Las Vegas, 40 to 6. They beat the Chargers by 14, given that was kind of in their like rough stretch there for a second.
Doesn't
But
matter. The Chargers
yeah,
are a good team.
yeah. They're two close wins coming against the Broncos, who are a great team. They didn't really hit their stride until I feel like a few weeks into the season.
Yeah.
Um, but they scored 29 points against that Broncos defense, which is a tough thing to do. Even the Giants did it last week. Um, Still a very hard thing to do. Um, and yeah, they're just beating up on teams right now. So I completely buy that take. I think they're playing the best football in the league. Um, but we'll see about how far they go in like the playoffs and stuff like that. Um, talk about the Raiders. Just mentioned them. Um, the Seahawks 2.0 experiment in Vegas needs to be over as soon as possible. And I don't mean like at the end of the season. I mean like if they lose again this week, you need to like bench Geno, maybe not fire Pete Carroll, but like maybe Pete is gone at the end of the season because this team looks so dysfunctional right now. Like it's unbelievable. Their two wins are against the Titans and the Patriots. The Patriots, once again, kind of didn't hit their stride until a few weeks in the season. Um, but then 20 to 9 against the Chargers, they lose. Commanders beat them 41-24. Colts beat them 40 to 6, and the Chiefs beat them 31 to 0. And they were taking a knee before the 2-minute warning. Like this team's bad. Geno Smith has 10 interceptions already on the
Yeah.
season. He's had multiple 3 interception games. Um, this is just a bad team. Like there's really no other way to describe it. I think it needs to be gone as soon as possible. This team is full of washed former Seahawks players. They just signed Tyler Lockett, which I
Yeah.
Honestly, I was on my bus coming home when I found that out, and I laughed. Oh, like it's so unbelievable what they're doing in Las Vegas right now. It's like, oh yeah, give me Jamal Adams, give me Geno Smith, give me Tyler Lockett. Is there anybody else in that team that's a part of that former like Seahawks stuff? I don't think so.
Stone Forsythe.
Stone Forsythe. But yeah, it's just a really bad situation in in Vegas right now.
I'm gonna buy this. I'm gonna buy this because I think if you really look at it, this is a this has a destruction, like a destructive level fall off written all over it. As far as Pete Carroll, maybe I think Pete Carroll forced the Raiders to buy in too early. And I think I think that was a big mistake. I think getting Geno Smith, who is, and I'm gonna say this, I think Geno Smith is a good quarterback, and I think it's more the situation that's really putting this out there that that is really accentuating his flaws, like bad offensive line, receivers aren't good. Um, but I think Geno Smith is a good quarterback. Being a Seahawks fan, I saw him play good football for us for 3 years. Um, but yeah, it's clear like they draft Ashton Genty when in reality, I think this goes for pretty much any running back. You can't run the football if your offensive line isn't good.
Yeah.
And they decided not to draft Armand Membu, who like maybe looks like the best player in the draft as a rookie. Like that's how good he's played at right tackle for the Jets. I I think that they made all the wrong roster moves when it came to building this team. The Raiders were a team that had to start fresh, and they bought in on Geno Smith, who's 35 years old. They bought in on all these former, Seahawks. They bought in on a 74-year-old Pete Carroll. It's just, it does not work. I think the Raiders would be smart to say, listen, this is not the direction this football team needs to go in. We're going to need a different leader if we're going to be rebuilding. And then, I think that's just the fact of the matter with the Raiders right now. So I'm gonna buy this. I don't think this Raiders team is going anywhere, and I think they need to reset.
All right.
Okay, my next take is also one about a team moving on, um, in a specific way. The Steelers need to move on from Mike Tomlin to escape mediocrity. The Steelers have been so mediocre for so many years at this point. If you look at the Steelers' history, uh, in the last few years, right now they're 4-3. Last year, 10-7, 10-7, 9-8, 9-7-1, 12-4, which was the year that they like had like a 12-0 start or something, like a
Yeah.
really outlier season. 8-8, 9-6-1, and then the last like truly great year that they had where they were like a true contender was 2017.
Yeah, with like Le'Veon and
Le'Veon and
Edwards.
Antonio Brown and Martavis Bryant and all those
Yeah.
guys. This team is just floating in the depths of mediocrity. They are really old and really expensive. And Mike Tomlin is just, he is a good coach, but Mike Tomlin is going to want to win and he's going to want and he's a good enough coach to give you a high floor. He might have the highest floor of any coach in the NFL as far as like what your record is going to be. Like I physically can't imagine a world where the Steelers are ever like 7-10 because they're
Yeah.
just like Mike Tomlin just keeps them afloat. But that's not the way that the NFL works. So you at one point there's a cycle that you have to suck in order to break out to get the guy. I think that's my stance with the Steelers right now. I don't think they should fire him, but they should definitely do something where it's like we've mutually agreed to part ways or something like that. and they move into the future, the next era of Steelers football.
Yeah, I'm gonna buy this. I think, um, if I were a Steelers fan, or even, I'm a Falcons fan, and we've been stuck in like 7 and 10 to 8 and 9 range for like the past like 5 years. And I think obviously they're winning more, but I kind of understand how frustrating it is with teams like this, and it's like I saw this tweet on Twitter that was like um I've never seen a player look more washed than this, and it was like Aaron Rodgers and like his big giant helmet and like the big yellow
Yep.
helmet. And I think that's kind of the state of the Steelers right now. Like everybody is like kind of washed on that team. Like I'm not saying like DK's washed or people, but like you have Aaron Rodgers on that team who's what is he, 46? Um
Yeah.
and he's still slinging the ball around a
He's
little
not
bit.
46, he's like 42, but
Or yeah,
he's old.
42. 42, sorry. I don't know why I said 46. Um
By the way, real quick, shout out to Mercedes Lewis back in the league. Shout out. Just need to say
oh,
that.
did he get signed?
He got signed to the Broncos practice squad.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. If
Um
if he gets activated, he'll be the oldest tight end to ever play a game in NFL history.
Hope he gets activated.
Yeah.
But like yeah, this team is just really it's annoying to watch from an outside perspective. Because it's like, man, like this team is so average that
Yeah.
like and they've been like that for so long. And I know that and like the whole set's like, oh, Mike Tomlin has never had a losing season with the Steelers, in his what, like 20 years there.
He's been there since
Um,
2007. Yeah.
yeah, so 18 years there. Um, cool, but you know, he's gone 8-8 in those years. He's like, and it's just yeah, I'm gonna buy it. I think you're totally right about them just needing to let go. Um, and I have a very similar one to you, same division and everything. Um, the Ravens need a full coaching overhaul or like reset.
Mm.
Um, I'm starting to worry about Jim Harbaugh, if you want to be honest. A few years ago when everybody was on the train that like, oh, Jim Harbaugh needs to go, like we make the playoffs, but we never win. I never really saw it. I was like, shut up, you guys are overreacting. Um, but he won a Super Bowl in 2012, and so that's 13 years ago at that point. And they've been good most of the time, but it's kind of like the Steelers where, you're good, but you're just not gonna win the Super Bowl. Like they go into years as Super Bowl favorites, I feel like every year, and it just never happens. And especially with, Zach Orr this season, don't even get me started on how bad he is. Um, they just need to, kind of reset. They need to start fresh, keep all like Lamar and Derrick Henry, but I think there needs to be a change, especially with how this season has been so far.
I'm gonna buy this. And I'm gonna buy it because John Harbaugh is not a play caller. And the one thing that he's been so good at since he's been a coach is making the right hires, like having the right people there with him. He hired Cam Cameron, who ended up becoming a head coach in the league as his OC when he first started. Like, listen to some of the names of the OCs he's had throughout the years: Cam Cameron, Rex Ryan, Dean Pease, Wink Martindale, Greg Roman, Gary Kubiak, Jim Caldwell, Mike McDonald, Todd Monken. Like, these are all really good hires. And he's been so good at bringing in the right people to call the plays because he's not a play caller. Now he's finally made the bad hire. Zach Orr is not working at DC. And I liked the hire when it happened, but it's clear that it's just not working at this point.
Where was he
So
before?
he was their linebackers coach.
Hmm.
So listen, I like Zach Orr. I think Zach Orr has potential as a coach. I think he like really has a chance to like, be good. But at this point in his career, I just don't see it. I just don't see it. And it's not working. And the second Mike McDonald left those doors, that defense has been worse significantly. So I'm gonna buy. I think if John Harbaugh doesn't make right hires, his team is doomed. And I think we were finally seeing it. And I think the Ravens, in order to get back to a Super Bowl level where they want to be, they need to hire a head coach that is a ceiling raiser, not a floor raiser, like Jim Harbaugh.
Yeah. Going back to 2018, kind of in like the Lamar era, I guess you could call it. Um, they have made the playoffs, um, 6 out of the 7 years there.
Hmm.
And in that time, they've played four, five, seven, 9 playoff games. They have 3 wins. Um,
Yeah.
they're not good in the playoffs. And if you're not good in the playoffs, um, your job is in danger. So yeah.
Yeah. My next take, we have one more each. We'll do one more because we're running a little low on time. Um, the Bengals, we're gonna stick in the AFC North. We're doing a lot of AFC North talk. The Bengals cannot truly compete with this roster, with the way it's constructed, and that is with Joe Burrow. I'm including Joe Burrow in this. The Bengals scored 38 points against the 0 and 7 New York Jets, who have not been able to score anything. Justin Fields has been a disaster. They didn't have Garrett Wilson. The Bengals scored 38 points against the 0 and 7 New York Jets and lost.
Yep.
That's not, hey, we're just waiting for Joe Burrow. Hey, if we have Joe Burrow, we win that game. You scored 38 points. How many more points is Joe Burrow going to score? Is he going to score 50? Is he going to score 70 points and win you that game? The Bengals building a roster that is solely reliant on elite quarterback and wide receiver play, and then the offensive line being ass, the defense being ass. You can't win like that. You can't win a Super Bowl. Hell, I'm not even sure if you can make the playoffs like that. And that's just a fact for me. I don't even think you can make the playoffs with playing like that. How are you going to play? How are you going to play the Chiefs in Arrowhead when it's cold and windy and they're grinding the football on you with Pacheco and Kareem Hunt and Mahomes can run a little bit too, and they're just going to play their style of ball? Are you going to sling it for 450 yards and win the game in a 20-degree windy environment? I don't think so. The Bengals just can't win a Super Bowl or really even be a contender when their roster is constructed like this.
Yeah, I'm gonna buy. I think that's a good take. I never really agreed with them signing T. Higgins to that huge deal. Um, I thought put, like prioritize Trey Hendrickson first, and then maybe if you have enough money, go get T. Higgins. But you're Joe Burrow. You are a top 5 quarterback in the league, probably. You have Jamar Chase, and having Jamar Chase is great. That's most of what you need. And I get, you could, maybe their philosophy is you can never have too much offense, you never have too much receivers or too many receivers. But like, did you really have to shell out what is he on like $120 million deal
Something like that,
with
yeah.
with them, something like that? Um, that was not necessary. And when they picked Shamar Stewart, I thought, okay, yeah, they're helping their defense. Even if their O line sucks, they can still score 30 points a game and win. Um, Shamar Stewart had that huge dispute. He's played 4 games. He has 3 tackles and doesn't have a sack yet. Um, so it's really confusing because I've never really agreed with any position first. I've always kind of thought just have 2 even sides of the ball, win a game, and boom, you're done. Um, but yeah, I don't think this roster can compete. Their O line sucks still somehow. They just kind of like refuse to help it. Kind of like we were talking about the Dolphins last week. Um, they're just not doing anything to protect him, and they're kind of seeing the signs, um, with like Joe Burrow getting hurt and all that.
All right. Last take for you.
Yep. Last take for me is Robert Saleh is the best coordinator in the entire league, offense or defense.
Hmm.
Um, he has this 49ers defense was obviously great before all their players got hurt. But even when, Nick Bosa's down, Fred Warner's down, they just have all of these defensive injuries. They're still a fantastic, there's like a top five, top 10 defense in the league. Um, and I think that has to a lot and I think a lot of the credit has to go to Robert Saleh. The years they've been there, um, or the years that Robert Saleh's been there, their defense has been fantastic. Um, 2021 ninth in points allowed, uh 2022 uh first in points allowed. Was he still there in 2022?
I think that would have been his first year out.
Oh, but yeah, they've been great. And then, last year, 29th in defensive points allowed, and then he's come back this year, eighth in defensive points allowed, and
with
he's just
all with all the injuries.
with all the injuries. And yeah, they're giving up yards, but who cares when they're not scoring? Um,
Yeah.
so yeah, that's my take. I think Robert Saleh is the best coordinator in the league.
Ooh, this is tough. This is tough. I'm looking around and I have some names and we're gonna kind of talk about this because we have a little bit of time left. Because this is a good discussion. Here are some names that I think realistically challenge Brian Flores. Or not Robert Saleh. Brian Flores is one for the Vikings. Steve Spagnuolo. He's right there as far as like, hey, like this guy is a legitimate play caller that makes a difference in every game you watch with the Chiefs. I'm gonna throw a little sneaky one at you. What about Chris Shula, the Rams defensive coordinator? He's been there for 2 years, and they have been money for 2 years after Chris Shula's been there. And that's not necessarily a superstar defense as well. Vance Joseph for the Broncos is coaching his ass off right now on the defensive side. I would throw Joe Brady in there. I would throw Vic Fangio in there as well. Uh, man, this is a tough question. I'm gonna say, I'm gonna say yes. I'm gonna say yes. Oh, also here's another sneaky one if you want to talk about it. Lou Anarumo with the Colts right now is doing an awesome job defensively. And I was always of the impression that Lou Anarumo was a pretty good defensive coordinator. And it was more so the roster that they gave him in Cincinnati that was really ass. And I feel pretty vindicated about that because the Colts defense is kicking ass right now. Now that Lou Anarumo has some talent to work with. Yeah, I'm going to say that, okay, this is a nuanced take. I do not think that Robert Saleh is the best coordinator in football, but I think he's doing the best job of any coordinator in football right now. Like, if you were to ask me who'd you rather have at DC, Robert Saleh or Steve Spagnuolo, I'm probably taking Steve Spagnuolo. I'm probably taking Brian Flores. That being said, what Robert Saleh is doing right now with this 49ers defense that has all these injuries and they're still like a competent solid defense is a miracle because if you look at the roster, like without Nick Bosa, without Fred Warner, this is a team that probably should be like a bottom 10, maybe even bottom 5 defensive unit. And they have been like downright good. Like against the Falcons, their defense was dominating you guys.
Yeah.
And like they shut down Bijan Robinson, who has been running like crazy. And they did not have Fred Warner or Nick Bosa. Like it's crazy what he's been able to do, what he's been able to scheme, and how good that defense has been. So, will I say he's the best coordinator in football? I'm going to sell, but on a little side note, I think he's doing the best job of any coordinator in football with what he's been given.
All right.
All right, so that's going to wrap it up before we close here. Aaron, is going to drop a little knowledge on us. Aaron, give me one thing, the most important thing. Don't say anything else. What's the most important thing that happened in history today?
The most important thing.
Don't say anything else. Don't openly brainstorm. Just say the most important thing that happened in history and rate the thing 1 out of 10. He's thinking, ladies and gentlemen. He's
LeBron
thinking.
debuted today
The King,
in 2003,
our
and he
glorious
had.
King, debuted today.
I'm gonna give that a 10.
That's a 10 out of 10. Maybe even more. We might have to give it an 11, I would say.
Yeah, it's very important. Change the game forever.
Everybody, if you're listening at home, throw something on the grill for LeBron's debut, which was, my God, like 22 years ago.
Yeah.
Pretty crazy. Now he's got sciatica, which kind of adds up. We'll see how that adds up and how that works out. But we want to thank you guys for listening. Hope you guys enjoyed. We will be doing a next week preview podcast sometime soon. Maybe keep an eye out tomorrow. That might be coming. But we want to thank you guys for listening. Hope you all enjoyed. Please leave a like and subscribe if you did. And we will see you guys in the next video. Peace out.